Today I want to take this opportunity to talk about the document Renewing the Commitment by the Catholic Conference of Catholic Bishops and the videos that you saw regarding the closings of Catholic schools in the United States. On the one hand, the document from the bishops talked about a renewing of the commitment to Catholic education. It provided anyone who read that document with a great deal of hope that the bishops understood the importance of maintaining and growing our Catholic schools in this country. They understood that there were problems, but that if we were going to grow our faith communities, our Catholic schools had to become an integral part of that foundation. Then you saw the videos regarding the closings of Catholic schools in Philadelphia, in Chicago, and in New York. And you saw the heartbreaking stories of families who suddenly questioned what happened. Why did this occur at my school? The reality is that when our schools started in this country, they were designed for poor immigrant children who no one else wanted to educate. Today, our schools have changed. The vast majority of our schools in this country are in affluent suburban areas. The number of schools in the cities continues to decline. We asked ourselves the question, why? Well, number one, people are concerned about the affordability of our schools. How can parents afford the tuitions? Yes, there is financial aid, but who funds the financial aid? The stark reality is that while we are a faith community, we are also a business. Many people don't really want to think about that aspect of our church. We cannot exist unless we're able to pay our bills. Our churches cannot open unless we are able to pay the heating bills, the air conditioning bills, paying for technology, paying for support staff. If we can't pay the bills like any other business, we simply must close our doors. And that's what's happened. Why have we been unable to pay our bills? Declining enrollments. The student population in our Catholic schools is declining. Why? Because parents evidently have not been convinced that our Catholic schools are important. One clear indication comes from the parish finance committees. Look at how many parishes have taken away the parish subsidies. Why? Because parishes need to pay their bills as well. And they don't want to be, as one pastor once told me, we can't be dragged down by the school. A harsh statement, perhaps, but it's realistic. The other challenge that we have in our schools is that Catholics, for the most part, are not a financially giving group of people. As one study clearly put it, about 6.5 to 6.8% of all Catholics contribute to their parishes. That's an incredibly small number. Here in Clemson, I'm a part of a group that is working to build a new church here, as well as a new parish center. It will cost several $million. As I begin to talk to members of the parish as I conduct the feasibility study, One of the comments that's often made is, well, wait a minute, why can't we do this? We should be able to raise the money. Look at the Baptists down the street. They have a magnificent facility. Look at the Methodist Church. They have a phenomenal facility there. Educational space. Meeting hall. We should be able to do this. And then when I ask the question, are you willing to make the sacrifice to make this happen? And people say, of course I will. And then I ask the question, in what range would you give a gift? That's where people suddenly start looking down and looking away. It's nice to talk about giving. It's another to actually give. So the challenge that you have as the principal of a school is to develop a plan that will make your school feasible as not just an academic institution, not just as a religious institution, but also as a financial institution. Most teachers have very little knowledge of the budgets in schools. In a few weeks, I'm going to ask you to see if you can get a copy of your school's budget. Many of you will be somewhat surprised when your pastor or your principal simply says, no, we do not give that out. Now, I understand that people are concerned about how people use data. But my question to you is, but why? What is so secret about our budgets that we're not willing to share it? Your faculty and your staff and your parents will understand the needs of your school if you simply allow them to see what you're spending your money on. I'm convinced that many parents and many Catholics believe that somewhere in the basement of every church we have huge chests of gold doubloons that we're making money in printing presses in the basements. The reality is we don't have the money. The money is in the real estate, the land that we own. It's not in the banks. The reality is we need to start paying our teachers more. During the course of the semester, we will talk about salaries and benefits. Where is your school putting the precious resources that you have? But more importantly, outside of tuition, what are you doing to develop your institution? We talk about institutional development or advancement. How are you advancing the institution? What's your strategic plan? How are you marketing your school? How are you asking your teachers, your students, your parents to help sell your school? What's your plan? If your school is simply relying on wrapping paper or candy or other similar type fundraisers, you can expect that, like so many other schools, in the coming years, you probably will face major financial difficulties. You will not be able to sustain a school by selling wrapping paper or candy or pizzas. Many high schools across the United States, in fact most, have programs for annual giving, planned giving. When I was looking at many of the websites for your schools, very few had annual giving programs. You had fundraising events. You had 5K races, 3K races. You had auctions. All of that's nice. But you're leaving dollars on the table. That's the problem. We need to make sure that we have a clearly defined plan to ensure that our schools survive. It starts with the leadership. It starts with you as a principal clearly understanding the financial needs of your school. and finding the best ways to use the precious resources that you have. You need to ensure that your faculty and staff have a living wage. We'll ask you to compare in this semester your school's salary scale to the local public school. And then the question will be, how do we keep our teachers when our salaries and benefits are so low? Yes, they believe in the faith, but even as a family, you still need to pay the bills. And you want your children to go to college, and you want to be able to afford to send them to college. Many of our Catholic school teachers cannot even send their children to Catholic high schools in their local areas. Why? Because they simply can't afford it. What are you going to do as a principal to help change the paradigm? Because if there is not a paradigm shift in the way we look at our Catholic schools will simply be nothing more than footnotes in history. The changes in our schools must take place at the grassroots level with the faculty, and it must start with the principal, who has a vision for what Catholic education is like. One of you mentioned in your discussions that your school hired a financial person, but they didn't understand the academics. That's the challenge. To get someone who understands the Catholic identity portion of who we are, the academic portion of who we are, and the financial aspect of who we are. In this program at Marymount University, we are trying to give you the tools so that when you become the principal, you will be able to chart a course for your school that will provide a sound foundation upon which future generations of your school will be built. Will there be ups and downs? Absolutely. But you need to make sure that you have a plan to deal with not just the highs, but with the lows as well. For if we are going to renew the commitment, it starts with us. We need to get that message out loud and clear to anyone and everyone in our communities, and especially those who have benefited from our Catholic schools, that we need them. We need to actively engage them in securing the future, not just by their dollars, while that is critical, but we need their leadership, their insight. We need to begin to partner with businesses who can provide us with services that perhaps we could not afford otherwise. When you look at your school's website and you think, well, maybe that should be improved. We could get a better image of our school. Oh, but we can't afford it. My question is, do you have any parent or alumni who are in the technology world who could help you build that and not send you a bill at the end of the day? It's called the gift in kind. We need to look at new opportunities if our schools are going to survive. In the coming weeks, you'll be challenged to look at the financial operations of your school. The financial stability of our schools is important, not simply so that we can say that we have a huge endowment or lots of money in the bank, but that through our strong financial programs, that we have balanced budgets, and most importantly, we can provide a Catholic education that is crucial to the future of our church. For that is where the next generation of Catholics will emanate. That is where the next generation of Catholic leaders will emerge. But if our schools are not there, there will be fewer people in our pews, and our schools will only be thought of as footnotes to a once glorious and important period in history. I appreciate your thoughts and comments, and as always, if you have any concerns or questions, please feel free to contact me. Have a good day.